Hello, this is a quick video of all the assembly stations that I have. Yes, I'm taking up the entire house. I'm going to go through what the stations do very quickly so you get an idea. There we go. So we'll start at the back here. This is the pump calibration station. There's bottles here, there's a scale, there's a meter here, there's a gauge, and there'll be two blue buckets over here with incoming pumps and calibrated pumps. I have the more bins on order, so they're coming. So this station is where the pump gets calibrated. This station is where we cut a 1 foot piece of aluminum tape. So it's pulled through this station here. And a lot of these things are all 3D printed. This is pulled through and it goes into the stop at the end, and then it's cut right here and then placed into a bin. So all of this, yes, that's a toilet paper holder, and that's what that station is. This station is for cutting the suction tubes, which are here. So the suction tubes come in 8-foot lengths. They get fed into the station from the end. There's a chop saw, which also has a limit switch, which automatically turns the saw on when it goes down. They'll take the cut piece, put them here. Then we sand the edges. This goes in here to sand both ends, and it'll get sanded. Then it gets placed over here. This is a small little reamer that gets put into the end just to clean up the burrs. And then the final is a brush just to brush it. And then they go into this bin and they go and get rinsed. So, and then from here, they're gonna go to the pick and place station. So that's the output. This is another station. This is a small little drill press. This is for cutting the 2 holes in the lid. And so this will come down and cut. So the way this works, it's very simple. The lid will get placed down on the gauge. You can do it. So here's the lid. It gets placed in one position. You cut. There's also a limit switch here that will automatically turn this on as it comes down. And then you slide it forward and bring it down again and cut the second hole, and that's it. And then that'll go into this bin. So that's how the 2 holes were cut. This station, this is where we put the magnets on the back of the reservoir holder. It just slips in here. All these holders are 3D printed. Screws are here. The magnets are transported, which I'll cover in these housings, which I have, which are perfect for transporting 5 magnets at a time because they won't stick to each other. Once the magnets are put on, the fixture's placed here, slid down, and then a label is picked up and a label is placed by hand. I don't have a guide for this, so right now it's placed manually, but it's pretty easy to place it. This station will also be used to put the magnet on the vacuum adapter. It uses these magnets for the vacuum adapter, same screws, change the labels, and then they'll be boxed up. Those 2 parts go into a box. So that's done at the same station here. Those can be batch built. This next station, this is where the vent and the quick disconnect coupling are added to the lid. This is a holder, which I 3D printed. The lid goes down here, and then these are added here. I have small wrenches here that help to put those on, and a drop of super glue also does go on the threaded part because it's fairly weak, and so I super glue it for extra strength. So this station is just to put these 2 parts in the lid. From there, the lids will go into their own bin and they go to final assembly. This is the programming station. This does both boards, which is the pump board and the battery board. Those battery boards will get separated into individuals. There's one loaded in here. So the board is placed in the fixture and then they're programmed through the computer. Same here. This is for the circuit board, the pump. You put it down here, put that cover over it, close the lid, program it, and then test it, and it'll run this pump so we'll know the circuitry is good. and the pump also beeps. So this is the programming fixture for both boards. Next, this is how we're going to transport the magnets. So inside of here, I have 5 magnets. That's how many go on one reservoir. So the magnets go inside here. These are drilled out. There's a spacer at the bottom that I put in just to get the right amount of magnetic force, and then it sticks here to the board. And then this board, these 2 trays can be filled with magnets, and they end up at the back at the magnet station, and then you just take these out and then slide one off at a time and place it and screw it down. So it's a very safe way to do it because these magnets are powerful. So there's 2 trays that are ready to go. That's for transporting the magnets. This next station, this is the tube holder assembly station. So what I've got, 2 metal plates, and then you put down a piece of paper with this crosshair pattern. You put the magnets down, you'll take the glue, and you'll put a drop on each one, and then you take the holders and place them on top. And just move it around a little, give it a little press, and that's it, and it'll adhere. I have a tool here that is for the magnets, which are here. So with this, you can take one magnet off. There's another magnet inside, and they attract each other. And then you just bring it over here, and when you go to place it, it'll pull the magnet right out of the tool. So you just come right down over there, it'll pull it down, and you pick this up, and then you just place another one. So it's a pretty quick process. I have a screw here that sticks to so we don't lose it. So that station is the tube holder station. This station is for the stearamine, for the tablets. I've got a counter, a scale here which counts pieces. So basically you'll put this container on. This is a small vent hood that'll pull out any dust that's in there. We count 40 tablets. After that, I've got the water soluble bags here, and I have this as a little funnel, and you just pour them in and then wrap it up, and they'll go to the heat seal machine, and then they'll get encased in this plastic, and that's how they get shipped. So this station is for stearamine. This station, this is for the battery module assembly. So that's all done here. Here's the raw parts. There'll be programmed circuit boards will be here. There's a soldering iron here. The contacts will get picked up, and we have to solder this wire from the circuit board on each contact, and then they get placed inside here. The circuit board and the 2 contacts get slid in here. There's the large contact which gets placed in the back. After that, take these out. This gets picked up and gets placed in this fixture. Hold on. This gets placed here. That holds this up in that position. And then the circuit board can be placed and screwed in. There's 2 screws for the circuit board. The screws are right there. There's the screwdriver. And then the label is put on. After the board is built, we put the batteries in, and we run this pump just to verify operation. And then the completed holders will go into bins. It may look like a lot, but I can build this in 3 minutes. I can put one together. So it's pretty quick with the fixturing. Next station. This is the tube and wire cutting station. So here's basically the inputs. We have the magnets that get put on the tubing, quick disconnect fittings, and I have ties for the wire, and I have a little gauge that I wrap the wire around. So here's a piece, here's the long tube, which is here. There's 4 magnets that get attached to this tube, and I have a screw here, and the magnets, you just place the magnets down. This goes over here, and I can't do it with one hand, but if you stretch the tubing, this will just drop right down and in. So you pull the tubing, and it sticks onto this hose fitting, and then it lines you up, and then you go ahead and put all the magnets down. Then you come here, and I have M for a mark. There's a Sharpie here. You put a line right here. This is for assembly of the pump when it comes time. So we mark it, and then you cut it right here. Then you just pick this right up, and you wrap it up, and you put it in a bin. And this is what it looks like. So that's the long tube. Then there's a second tube which goes here, which is 380 millimeters. Same way you put it on the tube, it gets one magnet which will go here. And so you make that tube. After it's made, we take a quick disconnect fitting from here. We place it on its mate here, and then we take the tube and we just place the tube down and force it down so it's on there, and then unscrew it and it's ready to go. So that's how that gets put on, because it's not the easiest thing to put on, but with this fixture it makes it really easy. So, and then we cut another length of this, which is just the plain tube. That one is here. There's nothing on that except just the tube. That goes inside the cabinet. The next cut is the 4 millimeter tubing, which is the small tubing. That goes through here and comes all the way up and attaches there. And these are here just for guides, just to hold it. There's no magnets on this small tubing. And then the tubing is just cut right there. After that, I have this Lazy Susan that I made and tried to 3D print these holders. The wire is pulled in here and goes all the way through up into here and sticks in there, and that's an end stop. So you pull the cable, the wire through there, you take the cutting pliers, these are all here, these are magnet holders that I made to hold the tools, and then you cut the wire and it gets wrapped up and it gets tied up with like this, and this is how it'll go into the container. Also, we do put a little bend right here on the end of the wire. That's what this pliers is for here. Put the bend, and here's the scissors to cut the tubing. So this whole station is to produce this tube, this tube, this tube, and this wire. And all these. These are already cut and just wrapped up. And they go from here to the stations they go to next. This is the pump assembly station. So here we take a circuit board. I have a solder station with an inlet, and you can put the board down here on the pump. These are already programmed and tested. And then there's 2 leads that get soldered. This is just a little fixture. I have a magnet here, I have a magnet here. They stick together and I can rotate it. So then I can put this in here, and you can solder a lead, and then you can rotate it around, solder the other lead. And that's that. So that's for soldering. And then after that, we're gonna have the housings, which I don't have yet. They're on their way. I should have them soon. These are the old housings. So the pump will be put into the housing, and there's 2 screws here. I have, this is for assembly of the switch that's on the circuit board. That's a wrench that fits the nut that's on here. And there's a 10 millimeter nut for this. So that's here. So the tools are all here along with the screws. Next, after that, move over. There's a small tiny piece of heat shrink tubing that's put on the tubes. We also trim the tubes to length with this. This is a gauge. This slips onto the tubes of the pump, and then you cut them to length. And that's the little red heat shrink that's put on there. And there's also a heat shrink gun, which is right here. So you can just heat it right up and melt it. And then I also have a little fixture that's here. This is how you cut all these small pieces. You put the heat shrink in this fixture, and then you just cut it with the scissors. So, and that produces all these. These are all 3D printed, of course. So that goes here. After that, we have assembled pumps. And now they're not calibrated. From here, they would go to the calibration station where they would be calibrated. And then they'll go from the calibration station to final assembly. This setup is all the piece parts that basically are placed into that little box right there. And so there's also the tube that's here. So all these pieces are all placed. I have them labeled, and I have the quantity on what gets placed. The wire ties, the 2-port manifolds, the single-port nozzles, the grommets here. So all these parts are here. There's the aluminum tape, here's the one hose, and they all get placed in here along with the steramine, and it all fits. So this entire box will be built, ready to go, to be placed into the container for final assembly. And then this tube is also going to be placed onto the lid at final assembly. This station, and we're almost done, this station is where we attach the pump to the reservoir, and then we attach the tubing that goes on. This should have a magnet. It's not the real one. But this tube actually goes here. This has the magnet and the quick disconnect. This is the 1 meter part that goes on, and when we put that on, I should have had one. Oh, I have one here. I'll show you. There's a clamp and a screw that go here and hold that tubing. That tubing comes around and bends down, and then that's where the mark, that's what that little mark is for that's on the tube. It gives us a gauge. We line it up with the bottom of the pump and then just screw in the clamp. So at this point, the reservoir is done. So, and from it then goes to final assembly. This is the station I'm working on now. I have more bins coming, but this is where everything will get put together, ready to go into the box for shipping. There'll be a battery module. There'll be the 1 box of parts. There's going to be the Zoog out. My vacuum adapter will also be there. We're going to have to place a power adapter, and I'm trying to make it where these can be purchased as 2 different options, because you only use one or the other. So, but as of now, we're shipping both. So that will also get placed. But this basically becomes the parts that get placed. Instead of bubble wrap, I'm going to try this paper, and this is the paper that opens up in pads, so we'll see how that works. I'm not sure, but I'm at this station now, and this is at the end. So that's basically where I'm at with all the stations, and the idea is to make this assembly go really smoothly. So I'm almost done. So these are all the stations. So I just want to give a heads up on what's coming. So there you go. Thank you. We'll be in touch. Bye-bye.